Welcome back, fight fans, to Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore Rise to Power 7. We are heading into our 7th bout of the night. This is the beginning of the professional competition. Starting off with fighters Dan Cucuta and Kyle Dunmeyer. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. We've got Dan Cucuta, 35 years of age, 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 185 pounds, and he has a professional record of 0 wins and 1 loss. No reflection on his amateur career. Kyle Dunmeyer, 21 years of age, 5 feet 9 inches tall, 185 pounds as well, with the same record, 0 wins and 1 loss as a professional. Let's send it over to Dan Bogan, where he can call the fighters into the cage.
It's time to start the professionals of Gladiators of the Cage. First calling cage side to the inspection area, staging area, Kyle Dunmeyer. Kyle Dunmeyer, cage side.
That was not Kyle Dunmeyer being followed by the cameraman. Heading to the cage right now is Kyle Dunmeyer with the song, I think it's called Crazy, early 2000s hit by a bunch of guys with tattoos and piercings.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me, Grant.
Butterfly.
Butterfly, yes, yeah, Butterfly okay. By, oh, I can't remember the name of that band. Was not douchey enough to like them in the early to mid 90s.
That should be no judgment on Kyle Dunmeyer's character that he's walking out to my least favorite song ever. Dunmeyer, 5 feet 9 inches tall, 2 inches shorter than his opponent, Cucuta. Dunmeyer's last fight was a loss versus Elijah Goldbley via second round TKO. It is worth note saying that Kyle Dunmeyer actually had the Pinnacle Fighting Championship middleweight amateur belt at one point in his amateur career, so he knows how to fight.
So that's a lot of experience there, you know, and he's if he fought for an amateur title at 185, he's had a reasonable amount of experience and a reasonable amount of pressure on him. So, I mean, you know, the professional ranks should be familiar at this point. Like, you know, being in a cage and fighting should be something he's comfortable with.
Was it called Crazy Train? Crazy
Town.
Crazy Town.
Crazy Town, yes.
Oh, man, this song used to get the girls pumped in the bar in 2003. Dunmeyer getting checked out by the ringside officials, making sure he has no razor blades hidden in his gloves. Face is nice and sloppy, greasy. Let's send it over to Dan Bogan to call in our other fighter, Dan Cucuta.
From the blue corner, Dan Cucuta, cage side to the staging inspection area. Dan Cucuta, cage side.
Dan Cucuta making his way to the cage with some very sexual music. Very calm and relaxed fighter, it makes sense. Cucuta's last fight was actually an amateur loss versus a young man named Aaron Jeffrey via unanimous decision. That was actually at Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore Rise to Power 6. It's a bit of a quandary I have about how he is an 0-1 fighter as a professional, as his other professional fight was in 2010.
Yeah, the thing is, at the lower levels of both professional and amateur fighting, sometimes record keeping is just poor. There's a lot of venues out there, and not everything always gets reported up the chain of command. There is no National Bureau of Record Keeping. So you're basically going off the record-keeping policies of sites like ShareDog.
MixedMartialArts.com.
Yeah, and MMA.com. And I mean, they're not being paid to keep these records. They're just doing the best they can. So a lot of it is self-reported. It's just sometimes all over the board. I mean, it's definitely gotten better over the course of years.
I'll tell you one thing about this fight, though, Mike, that I'm very excited about, and it's the fact that Dan Cucuta is an exemplary Muay Thai fighter. Now, in his amateur career, he was not able to showcase a lot of the moves that we find to be signatures of Muay Thai, such as the knees to the head and the elbows to the face. I can't wait to see if he can pull some of those moves off tonight in his pro debut, in my opinion, in at least the last 4 years at Gladiators of the Cage. I'm going to send it over to Dan Bogan, our ring announcer, for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next contest is in the Gladiators of the Cage professional middleweight division, calling for 3 5-minute rounds. Your referee when the bell rings, Chip Snyder. First, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 185 pounds, standing 5 feet 11 inches. He's got an 0-1 record, 21 years of age, fighting out of the grappling house from Myersdale, Pennsylvania, Kyle Dunmeyer. And his opponent, weighing in at 183 pounds, he stands 5'11". He's 35 years of age, making his professional debut. He fights out of Pittsburgh Muay Thai and Wright's Gym from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by way of New York, Dan, the Bionic Fist of Justice, Cucuta!
So, yeah, as you were saying, I think the thing is the addition of kicks to the head, elbows, knees on the ground, etc. It means that a guy could be better at pro than he is an amateur sometimes.
That's something you could actually see a lot as far as the amateur rules go.
Head.
Beautiful moves. It appears that Dunmeyer's looking really hard for a takedown on Cucuta, but Cacuta's trying to stop that effort. And boom.
Huge Muay Thai knees there, huge.
Go, my goodness.
That was
it is over.
Vicious.
Cucuta got the KO from the knee. My
vicious.
God. My God. Dan Cucuta has found himself as a professional fighter here tonight at Gladiators of the Cage.
That knee was enormous. I mean,
wow, what a perfectly timed knee, perfect angle cut. Cucuta is really impressing everyone here tonight. I mean, that was less than a minute. That had to have been.
Oh, easily less than a minute. That was probably less than 30 seconds.
Wow. Hey, let's take a look at that instant replay. I have to see that again. See how he...
Skipping side knee right to the jaw.
Notice Cucuta he stepped his left foot off to the side to throw that knee from an angle.
Perfect technique to open up the side of the head and land that.
I mean, Dunmeyer may have actually experienced as much of a shock to the head from hitting the ground after that knee as he did from the actual knee itself. And Cucuta showed no time wasted, just diving on and getting the quick finish.
Yeah, that was an enormous shot. You know, looked absolutely brilliant doing that.
Wow.
And that's the thing. You know, if he was fighting an amateur fight right now, he would be disqualified for that.
I think this is what he's been needing, you know, the whole time.
You know, as a pro, he gets his hand raised. As an amateur, he gets disqualified. So that's the difference. Amateur sometimes ends up being a wrestle boxing contest, whereas the pro level, there's a lot more techniques that you can show off.
Ringside officials are making sure Kyle Dunmeyer has enough in him right now to get up, and we'll have the announcement cutting the gloves off of Kyle Dunmeyer.
Yeah, he took a hard shot, a series of hard shots actually.
I mean, it's a game of hurt, and nobody wants to see anyone get injured, but what a perfect performance by Cucuta. Let's send it over to our ring announcer, Dan Bogan, and have the official decision.
I hope you didn't blink. They're not paying him by the minute. Ladies and gentlemen, the official time of the match. 26 seconds of round one. Your winner by knockout due to strikes, Dan, the Bionic Fist of Justice, Cucuta! Take it away, Katie.
So congratulations on your pro debut. What a way to come out of the gate. Tell us how you feel about that win.
Feel pretty awesome about it. Not much else to say. Came out here, executed my game plan. We did it.
That was your game plan from the start?
Yes, that was. Not just the knees, but hey, if that came, then I take it.
Awesome. So is there anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
Yes, I would. If you don't mind coming up here. I gotta make sure I don't forget anybody else. Give me the mic too. All right, I promise to make this quick. First of all, I'd like to thank my team, Pittsburgh Muay Thai, the best striking program in the tri-state area, available exclusively at Wright's Gym, PittsburghMuayThai.com, Wright'sGym.com. I get my massages every time from Gene Dimmerling, licensed LMT. It's awesome work, Gene, massagebyGenie at gmail.com. Really got to contact her. If you need your body worked on, she's the one. Audio works for any aftermarket work on your vehicle. It's wintertime, so time to get those remote starters. They're the ones right here on 51, audioworks.com. Steel City Martial Arts, steelcitymartialarts.com. The Bull Joint, damn best restaurant to hit Pittsburgh in like the last, I don't know, 10 years. IWantBalls.com. Supplement Central for all my supplements and vitamins. SupplementCentral.com. Toast Pain Relief Products, they work awesome on my body as well. ToastProducts.com. And Precision Sign and Awning for doing this banner for me. PrecisionSignandAwning.com. And Bruce Lee was my hero.
All right, congratulations. Let's hear it for him, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the bionic fist of justice, Dan Cucuta!
Wow, what a performance from Dan Cucuta. That was truly amazing. Cucuta has what I would consider to be a lot of sponsors to thank. Why don't we go ahead and have a word from our sponsors while we wait for the next fighters to come out.